which coins are the ones that are performing the best against Bitcoin and which ones should we be focusing in terms of accumulating more for substantial gains. In today's video, we are going to be looking into the top altcoins that have been outperforming Bitcoin in the past 90 days. We're going to look into the chart of these coins. Many of them are extremely overbought and they might require to cool off before we even consider them for any sort of accumulation. We're going to establish some potential entry targets, and we are also going to acknowledge the risk. Guys, as usual, this content is for educational purposes. I'm going to expose my plan, the coins that we are currently looking, even though they have been performing pretty well. Some of them have done performances of over 3000%, and a correction can be substantial, and of course the losses. So do your own research before even looking into any of these coins. If you decide to trade any of these coins, you can have a look at the description. I have this special event on OKX giving up to 60,000 USDT in prizes from a pool. You can win an iPhone, an iPad, or an Apple Watch. OKX offers a wide range of tokens and big volume as well. And if you're having any issues with getting past the KYC, you can also consider BingX. This exchange is a lot more KYC friendly, and in most countries you won't need to do KYC to use it, and only in a handful of countries you're still going to need to use a VPN to be able to access it. Currently you can claim up to 6,000 in rewards. Both links are in the description. One way of measuring strength is just by looking in CoinGlass to the crypto market RSI heat map, and this is like a race. Typically when there is a sell, the coins go very fast into the oversold on the 4-hour time frame, and you can immediately come back and see when they start bouncing up which ones are entering above 60 or even above 70, showing that they have very good strength. The problem with this approach is that sometimes some coins are going to bounce very fast just because they are having a very short-term strength, but then right after that, it can still go back into the weakness. Consider it a pump and dump. So which other methods do we have to measure that the coins are actually showing strength throughout a sustained period of time? And of course, there's many metrics and things can get a lot complicated, but if you want to opt in for a first step into filtering out good from bad, look no further than the altcoin season index. This index, for example, today is measuring 51, which means that we are not in an altcoin season. Above 75 is altcoin season, and below 25 is Bitcoin season. And the whole point of this index is to measure what is performing strongest. Is Bitcoin outperforming all the altcoins, or are the altcoins outperforming Bitcoin? At the moment, since we are halfway through, we are literally at 51. It means that there's no clear division whether it's an altcoin season or a Bitcoin season. We are kind of halfway through. And the reason that this is happening is because Bitcoin has half of the people thinking that it's going to continue pumping. Therefore, many people are still all in Bitcoin, expecting that the next biggest mover is actually going to be Bitcoin. Many other people are expecting Bitcoin to make a decent retracement, maybe to 51, to 48, and to hold there and go sideways for a bit longer. If that happens, that's going to allow some room for the altcoins to start pumping big. Remember, the flow of the money goes from Bitcoin to Ethereum to top caps and then to lower cap. And Bitcoin just made it to 73. So it's naturally that half of the people are expecting that there's an altcoin season imminent, and that's why some of them are still starting to perform well and bounce very quickly out of the oversold area. Now, if we want to look into the past 3 months, which ones have been outperforming Bitcoin, you can scroll down in this website to the top 50 performance over the last season. The season is considered the 90 days, and we can see Bitcoin here in the middle. In the last 90 days, Bitcoin has done 51.7%, and all the coins on the left-hand side have outperformed Bitcoin, starting with WIF that has done a whopping 3.5k%. The only one that comes close is another meme coin called Pepe that has done almost 500% in 3 months. Many of the coins that are here are going to be very overbought for this period, so we're going to have to look for a plan to enter into these coins that doesn't imply to just buy them at the top and then have to go through a long period of pain because of the massive drawdowns that these coins could experience. For example, if you just go straight away and buy WIF, you might get lucky and it might make another 100% in a few days, but it could also correct this 3.5k% and do 50% down. That's completely normal in this world of crypto coins. If we look at the daily now, we can see that the total tree has pushed 150% in total market cap, excluding Ethereum and Bitcoin. But there are some signs that are telling me that we need to start to look into these coins at least to have a plan. You can see that, for example, the cyclic RSI, which is an improved version of RSI, every time that has been below this band has been a good entry throughout this last period. Right now, on the daily, we are again back below the lower band. In today's video, I'm just gonna look into the top 10 that are around here. I know that those are the ones that are probably the most overbought, but it's a start and it's gonna show you more or less what is my thinking to do this filtering. Let's start with Pepe. The first thing I do is I put the chart on the daily and I look at the RSI and I try to find where is the support that spans for the longest by touching the lower levels of the RSI. Next, I look for the top on the RSI here and I try to place a line that touches with the most levels when it goes to the top, meaning that is forming a resistance. You can see that the momentum is trapped within this triangle. So we could expect that this could continue using it as a resistance, but eventually is going to enter in an area of a squeeze. Just to give you an example, we can look into the previous time that this happened, where we were connecting this with this dot right here, and we had this resistance. You can see that at this point there was the breakout, and pretty much from there, the breakout made straight away almost 2000%. Of course, it's a very high risk. It could break out and then fake you out. So don't assume that it's guaranteed the return, but we have to agree that the ratio between the risk and the reward on a breakout like this is substantial. In a breakout like this, we are very close to the resistance and we could use this resistance as a stop loss, meaning that if the RSI comes back below this line and it closes below, we could close our position. That is one way of entering the market. Let's call it the breakout entry. In this case, you can see that we could continue below our resistance and still not have any sort of breakout. But at any point that we break this line, that should sound the alarms that there's a potential entry. And the best way to get notified of this potential entry is just by clicking on this line, and that's going to bring in this toolbox, and then we're going to click add alert, and we're going to say that if the RSI is crossing up our trend line, then once per bar we're going to get an email reminding us to have a look at the chart to see what's going on. Notice that I'm using once per bar because I want to get notified intra-candle. So within the day, anytime that we go above it, I want to be told that this is currently happening and that I need to pay attention. But my actual action usually involves waiting for a candle close. That is more conservative and that provides confirmation. The RSI tracks the close of the price, so during the day the RSI could go as high as this and then retrace back below and end up closing below resistance, faking you out with intra-candle information. So be careful with that as well. You could use the breakout strategy above this line, or you could also consider using the accumulation. In this area of the squeeze represents a great opportunity for starting to accumulate small amounts of the coin. If you are more conservative and you do not want to be handling the breakout, you could consider accumulating within the triangle. As you're going to see with the rest of the coins, the triangle is not always located in this position. Sometimes it's going to be slightly higher, you can see that the bottom of this triangle is located at 32, meaning that we have from 32 to RSI 0 to continue dropping in momentum. And if we did a breakdown below the support, my accumulation here, I will consider unloading as well at a loss, because that will mean that if we close below here, there can be a breakdown and we could continue going lower. And since these are assets that have pumped so much, you cannot just go all in or accumulate heavily without having any exit strategy. This one has done 1,600 against USDT. You could accumulate in this area and then it could dump 60% down. It's just a meme coin as well. WIF has done a massive run from 0.2 to almost $5. That's just outstanding with 2.1k 1000%. You can see that it's bouncing on this support. As I mentioned before, you can see that the triangle is formed with a base at around 58 before it was at around 32. This one is telling us that if there is a breakdown below the structure, there can be a big fall here as well. So considering that this is our support and using it to decide whether to offload our accumulation happening around here or waiting for the breakout above this trend line, but again using this as an exit strategy in case things go south makes a lot of sense. Core has done again another massive breakout from 0.5 to almost again $5. But the problem with this coin is that it's just making and defining what is going to be the highest level of RSI here. And if you're looking for a better opportunity, look for opportunities like this with a breakout from many times touching our resistance. As you can see where we currently are, we haven't clearly defined what is our resistance. We know that there is support from September and then touching back in March. This is our support, but there is no resistance. And the reason is because this could push higher here. And then if that happens, we're going to have to move our line to that top and use that to start defining what could become later our resistance. So far, we are speculating that this is the highest level at an RSI of 96. And if things go well, this is going to start using it as a resistance. And then we're going to get some golden entry in this area around there, potentially. Of course, the same considerations, if you break below this, you could use that as an exit strategy, both from accumulation in the area of the squeeze or the breakout from a resistance to be defined. Let's look at R and FET. These two are AI coins. You can see our support is very clearly defined. And in this case, the structure has done a lot more to define what is the resistance, but we have to acknowledge that we have a double top here, and the target of this double top is around $10. We're currently sitting at $33 and the maximum has been $47. So if we lose this area of the equilibrium here, that's the neck of the double top, we could potentially go to $8. I will expect that if that happens, we're going to most likely break below this support that has been formed since 11th of June, almost a year ago. So very careful with this one, very careful, particularly with a breakout here and not having any sort of risk management. This could break out, fake out, and then come back below. And just like it did an RSI of 90 to the upside, it could also make an RSI of 10 to the downside. FET is in a very similar situation, also forming this. We can see the bearish divergence here with a higher high and a lower high on the RSI momentum. We can see where is our support. This is accumulation area with a potential breakout, but falling below 39 on RSI, which is located at $2, is not a good thing. In order to break out, we need to go above 55 on the RSI. So we need to go above $2.8. But that is just purely based on where is the line located here. Of course, if we go lower and we break out from lower, that is a moving target. So don't consider these numbers as fixed numbers. It's better that you track the lines and you monitor at what levels the RSI closes by the end of each day. BCH is far from our support, so I wouldn't say that it's in a great position to start accumulating. You can see that it's continuing to pump even though it's doing lower lows, so it's in a very risky situation right now. I will prefer to wait for a slightly better risk to reward area somewhere around here. SHIB looks a lot better. Interestingly, I'm not saying go and buy, but at the same time, you can see that we are here in a sweet spot for a squeeze. So probably it's a good idea to keep an eye on SHIB on the next few days to see if it breaks out above this or if it's going to do a breakdown. If you are interested in doing shorts as well, breaking down a structure that spans from September, multiple touches, and breaking it from 44 could potentially go into the very oversold area right after that, just because it hasn't done it in almost half a year. So in this video, I'm focusing mostly on opportunities to re-enter, but you can see that there's also opportunities to short from here. I'm also noticing that this is a head and shoulders right here. One thing that I haven't mentioned is that you can also extend this line and the RSI could break down here. You might not be doing anything, and after finding a double bottom or some bullish formation here and breaking from these levels, that can also constitute a golden entry. And not necessarily for all the coins, but for coins that have been showing strength against Bitcoin during this bull market, as long as there is no FUD in particular with that project, an entry like this could provide substantial returns. Tau is bouncing on support. There is again a double top formation here with a target of $360. The price action actually broke the neck below, but currently is pushing higher. And that is because it's bouncing on support here. Resistance is at around RSI 60, and I will personally prefer that this comes and enters the area of the squeeze, and I wouldn't take necessarily an entry at such high level of RSI yet. RNDR is showing that could potentially break below our support. RNDR is another one that should go into your short list together with SHIB, just because it has done a lot of work here in terms of defining a resistance, and the support is being challenged at the moment at an RSI 42, so there's still room for going lower. If that happens, consider extending the line and looking for a breakout from the lower range. Theta is in a very similar situation. It should go into your short list. In this case, it's in the process of forming a double bottom around here with a target to $4 on Theta. I will suggest to wait for the breakout here, but you could also use this area to start humbly accumulating Theta. Maker, as you can see, hasn't come to this area, which is my preferred area, and is still pushing higher. So very high risk, because now it's bouncing on support with a squeeze at a level of 71. That is too high RSI to consider for another breakout to the upside. Yes, it can go higher, but I'm looking more for a breakdown and to fill the lower space of this triangle. Once we do that, we are still above 52. Doge hasn't formed enough touches on the bottom to call it a support. It is support, but it's a lower quality support, currently located at RSI 47. Gala has done good progress in forming a resistance and also a support, and we are in the sweet area for accumulation. MNT is all over the place, is still pushing higher. It's not done with this pump. It's starting to form lower lows on the RSI, so potentially it's gonna get exhausted here at around $1.5 and could start filling this area here. But it's very overheated. Let's do a summary of the strategy, and let's also introduce a third strategy. As I mentioned, the first strategy, which is more conservative, is to look for accumulation in an area where the RSI is consolidating into a squeeze, and consider the support as an exit strategy in case you need to offload because the RSI is gonna just continue going lower. The second strategy is the breakout strategy, which consists into looking for many touches of this as a resistance in a potential breakout. The lower that breakout happens, the higher the quality, and the more touches of that line as well provide better quality. Again, you have to look for a level to exit, which could be the support provided by the multiple touches at the bottom. And the third and last strategy that you could also consider is to buy on support. Coins like, for example, SHIB that are showing multiple times touching this as a support can provide a very good entry for risk reward when the RSI comes back to visit that line as a support. The closer you get to the support, then you can put the stop loss closer to the price and increase the ratio of your risk reward as well. Just consider that, for example, on SHIB, we have touched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 times this area as support, and we are entering into the squeeze. So be prepared for everything. You might use it as support one last time and it might break. Remember that there is a head and shoulders pattern formed around here as well. Alright guys, I cover all the coins. Let me know in the comments if you want me to continue covering all coins in the channel. And if that's your preference, make sure that you mention which coins would you like me to do this sort of analysis in the upcoming videos. If you think there is also an altcoin that currently is providing a huge opportunity for entry, especially if it comes to technical analysis, then mention it as well in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.